Oh, Travis Wayne Goodsell. Rough night last night. Well, I've confirmed that the prophets were spying on me yesterday, and because of that, I had the LDS Church to abolish Book of Mormon for April 2021 General Conference breakout video. Breakout. Breakout. That's going to be my theme song. Let me write that down. Breakout. Because, this morning everybody is gone. It seemed to plateau, but now the YouTube analytical program is behind. The actual count is now ahead of the actual or the analytical amount, whereas it's the opposite still for LDS Church to abolish Moroni's visit, which was an attempt to try to see if I can capitalize on the Book of Mormon abolishment video, and it did better than what I'm used to. I still could do others, as I mentioned in that video, but another surprise is one that's showing more views than the management page, and that's the LDS prophets gather to discuss the abolishment of the Book of Mormon. I'm kind of surprised about that one, but I was right, because the analytical program shows that it's older men, 65 and up, who increased in the viewing of videos from yesterday. And I think the prophets fit into that category. I might have to check. And that would explain the surge. Not because of the prophets, because there's only 15, but they have YouTube channels of which they have connections to other people, and other people have connections to them, and thus the analytical program for YouTube generally then sets it up to say, oh, people who watch Travis's video, or watch Nelson, Oaks, Hallard, Holland, Bednar, etc., watch Travis's video on abolishing the Book of Mormon. Apparently, it's also an older person thing, as I'm now experiencing it myself, that we aren't up on the new hip technologies. There's a phone company who does a commercial where a dad and his kid is trying to talk to Grandpa, and Grandpa can't figure out that you're supposed to hold it up in front of your face. But somebody did tell Nelson that, hey, you want to get rid of all these anti-Mormons on Google search. Well, you just change or make official the name change of the church and get rid of all of the nicknames. And so Nelson comes out and says, hey, we're officially the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and Jesus is now mad at the nicknames. As Mormons now go, oh, Jesus has been mad this whole time. Oh, wow, yeah, the prophets have never spoken about the nicknames. They've always spoken about the full name now. They're rewriting history for Mormons. Or Mormons are rewriting history for the church. Brigham Young constantly called them Mormons. Dear God. So, yeah, it's clear that it started early in the morning when they got up. They were required to watch it before their meeting so that they can then discuss it in the meeting. What do we do with Travis? Or how do we solve a problem like Travis when good so? How do we solve? Maybe I should put that as also a how do you solve okay. I'm going to forget if I don't write it down. That's that simple. My brain keeps going on to infinity and beyond. And so everything that does not get spoken of or written is left behind. So that would explain it. Because I have spies, the church would be stupid if they were to just ignore me and consider me insignificant. That would be the stupidest thing on earth. You do not consider someone an enemy and then just ignore them, not keep spies on them to update you when necessary. And so LDS Church to abolish the Book of Mormon, yeah, they're going to want spies on that one. But because of the surge, they had to have the big boys check it out so that they can know what's going on. They can hear the information I provided. And so, if you don't know, the church have been aware of me because they've been sending assassins to have me assassinated. So far, they've failed. Dear God, my own church wants me assassinated. And do you want to know why? Do you want to know what the cause of all this is? Yeah, I came to them in 1998. Wow, so long ago. And said, hey, I deciphered Paleo-Hebrew. Joseph Smith is a translator. Isn't this awesome? The church is true. Didn't realize the church was already hinge pointing in secret to say, no, Joseph Smith is not a translator. We've never called ourselves translators since Brigham Young. And you're going to pay attention in conference, right? When they do the sustaining vote, typically in the second Saturday session, pay attention. Russell M. Nelson. Where's translator? It's missing. They don't want it. That's why we don't have a corrected Bible. Joseph Smith constantly working on fixing and correcting the Bible. He dies, it stops. And we still keep Article of Faith number 8, thanks to the Richards guy from the mission presidency in England. If it weren't for him, we wouldn't have even bothered. But yeah, the Pearl of Great Price is because of Richards, who served his mission. And so yeah, that's how the church got a hold of the facsimiles in the Book of Abraham, was because of Richards. So the whole Pearl of Great Price, because of Richards. And it's been a thorn in the side of the church ever since. The Brighamites were able to escape Mormonism unveiled. That was the first time that the Book of Mormon had been exposed, because missionaries were sent to the town where Solomon Spaulding lived. He's the one who wrote the book Manuscript Found. It was a fiction novel that included two groups of people at different time periods one from the Tower of Babel, the other from the Babylonian captivity, and it was switched around, so there weren't Jaredites. It was Lehites and Nephites, and can't remember which was in which, according to the townsfolk and his own children, who also were interviewed by the guy who wrote the book Mormonism Unveiled. And the whole town said, oh yeah, he would read to us the book, that never got published because he didn't have the money to publish it, and then he died before he was able to publish it. Publishing companies can't publish the book for the guy and profit off of it, so it would normally get thrown away, or if there's somebody who's a good friend of the publishers in Pittsburgh who collects books, buys the latest books, such as Sidney Rigdon, yeah, they would just let them have it, as the children never came to claim it or anything like that. So, yes, that's why Sidney Rigdon is the scientifically confirmed author of the Book of Mormon, except for the 116 pages. There's something going on with those, and unless you've learned that Joseph Smith Sr. had Tree of Life dreams and was involved in the New Israelites, a Congregationalist church, and also was involved in Jewish mysticism with that group, and was a Freemason in the Yorkites Lodge since the birth of Hiram, at least. Not Alvin. Alvin is not associated. That's a Celtic elf, is what it comes from. And so Hiram is the one that clearly indicates he was involved now in Freemasonry. And so thus 18 years later he becomes a Master Mason over his own lodge in Canandaigua, New York, where all hell breaks loose in 1826. So you think that the Smith Sr. and his family were not involved in any of that? That it just happened to occur right there in the town where he's the Master Mason, and he's not doing anything about it or doesn't know anything about it, but yet he has a book from his son? Yeah, I'm sure Joseph Smith Jr. wrote it. All of you ex-Mormons who do not understand, Joseph Smith did not write the Book of Mormon. Linguistics shows Sidney Rigdon and Smith Sr. for the replacement of the 116 pages. Now go back to Doctrine and Covenants, chapter 10, section 3. Reread it. Who's the Lord talking to Joseph Smith? Getting very angry and pissed. And if you need help, go watch some Batman episode with Robin. Yeah. Master and Lord. Master Grayson, Lord Wayne. And so, yeah. The importance for this video before conference, I can't begin to tell you how awesome it is that they fell into the trap. And even though it's pretty low still, as we've run out of people watching it, as it's now just a slow trickle now. And after 15 minutes, nothing's been added anyway. The importance is massive. It's huge. Because as I've told you, in the Prophet's Gathering, everybody was aware of my suits against the church. There are people specifically watching each and every single judge. But you also have people who are watching all lawsuits that involve the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. There's sort of like a trigger alarm that goes off when a lawsuit is filed, and people are notified in the system. I don't understand it, but I know it happened because of the Amazon lawsuit that I tell you about in that video. And I have done the video where I showed you guys, and I showed the court as well, Russia was watching, at least in the first video, or the first lawsuit, sorry. I keep putting, because my mind is infinity and beyond. And so they've indicated through the YouTube coding that I've discussed that they're watching my channel, they're downloading my videos, and they're aware of the church connection, as they are even making moves to lie about the church. That's what Russia does, if you hadn't paid attention. The whole Q thing, that's backed by Russia. What are they doing in Q? They're lying to people, sort of. It's the wrong target, but the right information. If you don't know what Q generalizes in their lies, they're calling deep state Dems and Hollywood celebrities space aliens, satanic pedophiles. Those three main categories. It's the wrong target. Have anybody bothered to look at the church? If you could hide a Kolob, Boy Scouts of America, and the inverted pentagram on Temple Square, the headquarters. It's real quick, real simple, real easy, but Russia is keeping the church in check. Russia can turn on them anytime they want. If the church doesn't comply to what Russia wants them to do, Russia will turn on them. Real simple, real easy. Russia's not concerned about getting paid back for the $32 billion the church was given in 2018. Right after Monson dies? You cannot do business with Russia. They are America's enemy. They want to destroy us. Putin is pissed for America and even Mitt Romney's interference in their election in 2011-2012. And then we have Nelson and his wife giving a talk to the youth, creating the Hitler Youth Battalion, who then the wife confesses, oh yeah, on June 15th, 2013, Nelson went and had a priesthood meeting in Russia, Moscow, Russia. What? What? Right after the election, of which Putin is pissed? Of which, all of a sudden, news reports are saying that Putin's Secret Service are going around planting cameras in key people's houses to keep surveillance on them. And you have an American religion, not a Russian religion, an American religion who's associated with Romney's religion, whom you're pissed for interfering in their election, and they're coming to Russia? And you don't think Moscow or the Kremlin or Putin is interested in keeping tabs on what they're doing there in their country? Dear God, you gotta be the most naive, gullible person in the universe. Anybody of those kind want to give me money just for the heck of it? Give me all your money. Okay. So, yeah, the church is working with Russia willingly. There's no other excuse. They can't be dumb, naive. Oh, really? No, they're a multi-trillion-dollar corporation. They know exactly what they're doing because you don't make that much money without being a criminal. And I've exposed their criminal practices. I mean, the most obvious one is what the whistleblower was talking about, but he doesn't even understand it himself. Do you know what a protection racket is? It's where you're told you got to pay up as part of some membership dues or extra amount of your own free will in order to get protection. What do we call tithing? Fire insurance. Protection for the latter days. Oops. Those of us who have paid our tithing are not being protected from this coronavirus, are we? Yeah, it's a racket. And the church has been pulling that since Lorenzo Snow's revelation in St. George titled The Windows of Heaven in the video. So yes, I've spoken out a lot of this. If this is your first video and you're still listening after 22 minutes, you're missing out on a lot. And so, I had to write stuff down to make sure I caught everything for this video. So yes, the main point that is in the abolished Book of Mormon is that the Book of Mormon is coded. And if you do not understand what a code is, if you did not get a secret decoder ring in your box of Cracker Jacks as a kid, if they stopped those right before you were born, or if you've never even had Cracker Jack, or you've never watched a spy show, or you've never watched, everybody does code. If you're unaware of American war history, in World War II, they used the Navajo language as their code to communicate. If you've watched X-Files, you knew that. And that's the one code the Japanese could not break. And so, yes, they used it. And so, did you think that the Smiths were not involved in code? Did you not know that the 1981 edition of the Triple Combination, including the Doctrine and Covenants, was produced with an effort to decode the Doctrine and Covenants? Did you know it was encoded in the first place? The Smiths knew all about coding. Now, if they knew about coding and the Doctrine and Covenants was coded, do you think that was the only thing they coded? Are you that naive? Have you not watched your National Treasure? Nicolas Cage? Have you not watched the Da Vinci Code, where they claim his paintings were code? You cannot be that dumb to think that the church is immune from codes and secrets and secret communications. But again, you guys don't recognize the inverted pentagram on Brigham Young's temple. Dear God. Alright, so I'm going to try to find David's comment from yesterday. I don't know where I'm going to look to find it. Maybe if I put the... Let's try... No, those are analytics. Yeah, let's try these. So yes, Joseph Smith history. Why is the history so messed up? Why are there so many errors? Oh, that's not it. Okay. Why are you giving me grief? Grief. I know I did it. I know I didn't transfer it. No, that was Joy's. Okay, almost. David, there you are. Alright. Blow it up so I can read it. David Edlund. This shows you how naive and brainwashed Mormons are. He is a young husband, as he has his thumbnail with his lovely wife, and comments on the Book of Mormon abolishment video. He says, the Book of Mormon has withstood many years of people with many differing opinions. That's an abusive tactic that is used by apologists. And it will stand firm against anyone who decides to go toe-to-toe with the record. There is no luck to wish for anyone who dares oppose it. Now, he does not reference me. It's assumed to be directed at me, that I'm opposing the Book of Mormon, that I'm the one who's got opinions about the Book of Mormon. And he's just doing his little rote thing. Rote refers to rote prayers in the New Testament, which is a sin to have a rote prayer. So, yes, the Catholics have rote prayers, despite their New Testament beliefs. Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to keep. That's just one of them made famous by Metallica. But I responded to him. I accepted his comment, and I replied. And I was nice. I go, right on, David. 3 exclamation points. Those LDS prophets will not destroy the Book of Mormon that exposes their crimes and murder of Joseph Smith! Exclamation point. Millions, and this is quotes, millions shall know brother Joseph again. 3 exclamation points. Millions shall know brother Joseph again. Hail to the prophet ascended to heaven. Traitors and tyrants now fight him in vain. So he knows, David knows, he knows that hymn. He knows, and I was supporting his comment. See, I'm not a mean, heartless, anti-Mormon, Korahor, apostate. It's the church who is. They're the ones with the inverted pentagram. I did my ring ceremony yesterday. Did you miss it? So, yes. He never replied. I wonder why. Where'd he go? David, where are you? David. And the other woman apparently never came back to any of my videos to reply to the video that I made just for her joy. And so, yes, this is why the Book of Mormon has Solomon Spaulding's manuscript found written all over it. Why science, not opinion. Science is not opinion, guys. Linguistic science says the Book of Mormon was written by Sidney Rigdon, but they are unaware I'm the one who made that discovery, that Smith Sr. is the one who wrote the replacement of the 116 pages. There are people who say, oh, Joseph Smith used his father's dreams to write the Book of Mormon. No! Joseph Smith did not write it. He's a young man when it gets composed. And in record-breaking time, Joseph Smith, all by himself? No! Come on, guys. Please. And do you notice? Have you noticed church history? This is something I have not spoken of before. We're adding it here. I'm the one who's made this connection of church history, so pay attention to this. Joseph Smith never redid anything to go back to where he started. He always started where he left off. Wow. That's amazing, isn't it? Sure shows you how magical and mystical Joseph Smith is, that he had the power of God with him to write this book in record-breaking time. See, right overnight, Congress, or the Senate, was forcing the reading of our survival money bill. And they did that purposely. Mike Lee is a part of that distraction, delay tactic. He doesn't want us to get money when all of us want money, don't we? But, yeah, that's how Joseph was doing it. He didn't write the Book of Mormon. He didn't translate it, not by himself, not with Urim and Thummim, not with rocks in a hat. He did it because it was already written. He just had to read it. That's it. That's all. And Martin Harris was not seeing any of it. Remember, Joseph Smith put the blanket or whatever so that Martin Harris couldn't see what he was doing. And so, yes, Joseph Smith was reading what had already been written and transported from Ohio to Harmony, north of Pittsburgh. Because pay attention to the history and the Doctrine and Covenants. They don't mix. Joseph Smith made a big blunder that exposes what happened. Because they put in Manchester, he's moving. Not Harmony, Manchester. What's he doing in Manchester? After this whole losing the 116 pages? And now he's moving, but he's moving to Susquehanna River. Wait a minute. The history says he was in Harmony, Susquehanna River, Pennsylvania. What's going on? Yeah, well, I've done the videos. Sidney Rigdon is in Ohio. Somebody needs to transport it to Joseph Smith in Harmony, north of Pittsburgh, where the Methodists are. Because Emma and her family are Methodists. That's why they're in Harmony, north of Pittsburgh. If you do not understand settlement patterns of early America, and so, yes, all hell breaks loose in Harmony, north of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, as the Smiths then go to Manchester Farm. Martin Harris is no longer allowed to participate, as he destroyed the 116 pages, not his wife. Everybody likes to blame the wife from the Brighamite branch, trying to explain things. But the Smiths knew. Read section 3. Who's to blame? That wicked man. Wicked man. Not wicked woman. Wicked man. And so don't be deceived by the recreated history by the Brighamites. And so the church, if they, like I said, if they didn't know, because they weren't involved in the composition of the Book of Mormon, but Heber C. Kimball does indicate he knew that they were involved with this whole 1826 all hell breaking loose. We're putting that as a third song for you. All hell's breaking loose. And so the reason why the Smiths needed to code it was not so they can fraud people. You know, they had Solomon Spaulding's manuscript. Why did they still need to put code in the Book of Mormon? Why did they need to plagiarize other books contemporary to that time period? You know, it can't be for nefarious purposes, because they would realize that there are going to be those who are going to understand the code. Especially the science, not opinion, of astronomy. Not astrology, astronomy. I did the video where Brigham Young called the key, or the revelator, as one who's an astrologer. Just hilarious. Anyway, and so when you see signs in the heavens being referred to, either by sign or I looked in the heavens and I saw, you know they're talking about a sign in the heaven. You can now use the science of astronomy to identify the constellations and the planets involved. You can now know the day and the hour, sorry Matthew, of when things occurred. So yes, the Book of Mormon, as it tells us to do, refers to the signs in the heaven in Revelation. Specifically, Revelation 12 and Revelation 19. Those are signs in the heavens. We know the date using the science, not opinion, of astronomy. We now know the latter days. 2017, 2024. If you remember, years ago, right before 2017, there was this lunar eclipse tetrad. And with that tetrad, between the third and the fourth of the tetrad, How many apostles of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints bit the dust? Wow, 3? Wow. Well, Mormons were panicked. They thought this is a sign of the end of the world and the second coming, as they believe, because Mormons do not understand. The Book of Mormon says we're more in line with Jewish. The learning of the Jews, language of the Egyptians. Remember, Smith Sr. is a new Israelite. Jewish mysticism. It's a type of Christianity, but nonetheless, it's a different understanding than your traditional Trinity Christians. And so, Mormons do not understand. We're not supposed to be Christian as Mormons. And, see, I did it again. Moving on to infinity and beyond. And I've got to do laundry, so I can't do this video longer than 30 more minutes. And so, signs in the heaven. You have, right in the beginning of the Book of Mormon, we'll just start here and hope that that covers it. And if not, I hope I circle back and pick it up by chance. So the Book of Mormon informs us of the Book of Revelation's signs in the heavens. And so Lehi has his dream, and he indicates, I'm seeing the heavens in my dream. So none of that is real. It's a sign in the heaven, in the same manner in which John the Revelator was giving his signs in heaven. And so what happens when Lehi has these dreams? Well, it's the first year of the reign of King Zedekiah. Well, the Book of Mormon doesn't go into detail. It doesn't tell us that Babylon came and conquered and replaced the original king of Judah with Zedekiah to be a puppet king in the first year, when Lehi has his dream of the sign of the birth and the sign of the death. They're signs. They're not an actual birth. They're not an actual death. It's symbolic, metaphoric. There are supposed to be events that correspond within this time period, as the rest of the Book of Mormon informs us in code. And so, when is Nephi born, Mormons? Not already. Because go to the part where Lehi leaves Jerusalem, and Nephi is doing an abridgment of the record of his father. He does not include himself in that list, because he wasn't born. Nephi was born when they reached their destination, sometime thereafter. In the first year of the reign of King Zedekiah, where the sign of the birth of Counselor, the mighty God, the everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace, the sign of the Son of Man occurs. Nephi is born. The first year of the reign of a new king, who is to be a puppet king to give loyalty to their conquerors, the sign of the Son of Man occurs. Nephi is born. Now, the death sign? Who's involved with the death sign? Where is that in the Book of Mormon? Well, all of us as missionaries went and told everybody. The highlight of the Book of Mormon is 3 Nephi chapter 11, where Jesus Christ, the Christian Trinity God, not the Jewish mystical Israelite God comes to the people in America, because it's a real history. Yeah. That's Revelation 19. He just doesn't have a horse in the Book of Mormon. That's the sign. And it's a sign of the death. Because, according to the Book of Mormon, that's the same year he died. Samuel the Lamanite, what does he talk about? The sign of his birth, the sign of his death. When did they occur? Not during the Roman period. During 2017 for the birth, 2024 for the death. A 7-year period. There's supposed to be 3 days of darkness. Well, that first year we had a sign of darkness. We had the birth sign, the sign of the Son of Man. They knew this. They knew what was being plotted against America and were warning us in code. That's why it's so crucial to get the word out. And I'd like to thank the prophets for doing their research on the video before discussing it yesterday. Because now they're going to have to face the reality that everybody knows. People already know from looking at the lawsuit. But now they themselves help to promote that video. That's the code I'm referring to. And so this great and abominable church, oops, sorry Bruce, you're wrong. It does refer to the Catholic Church, but no. It's using code. So it's a church that is among the Gentiles of America that murders the saints. Wait a minute. No other church has saints but the Mormon Church. Nobody else can hold saints in bondage. Catholics have saints, but they're not the members. They're not Catholics. They were specifically selected. So that's not the guys. But St. Patrick does give us a clue as to the actual birth date, as the Smiths knew that too. The Kirtland Temple was dedicated on that date. Women got the priesthood on that date. And interestingly, it's his death date, not his birth date. Huh. So, yeah, St. Patrick. Coming up pretty soon, 12 more days. And so the church, like I said, they know now. They looked at the book, or they looked at the video. See, and they know now. They've now discussed it. They have now made plans as to what to do with me and how to address it in conference. So pay attention when they talk or don't talk about the Book of Mormon in conference. That's going to be fun to watch. They still have let God prevail. Dear God. That's not the meaning. You got punked, Nelson. Yep. Oh, nope. Nothing new from last night. So like I said, they're planning for conference now. I'm getting very hungry. So pay close attention to conference. Anything the prophets, not members of the 70, not the women, no, they were not included in this meeting. They're going to be clueless. So, oh, yeah, one more. People are slowly waking up this morning on a Friday. But, yeah, this is why it's huge, guys. The church are the great and abominable church referred to in the Book of Mormon. They're the ones that join by 2017 with the Kingmen. You guys know them, Captain Moroni and the Title of Liberty. Kingmen wanted to overthrow the Constitution of Mosiah to establish a monarchy again. Oh, sort of like what America had before our Revolutionary War. And of which they came back in 1818. Remember that being tossed around in the news not too long ago? With a certain Insurrection Act on the 6th of January 2021? I wonder if that was planned. Book of Mormon sure says so. And they've got more to come, because we still have 3 more years. And so yes, the church has to figure out, how do we deal with this? We've been exposed. Holland already had his heart attack episode where he had to go to the hospital, but it wasn't coronavirus. They made sure to tell us 2 weeks later. Because that was when I filed in the court the slam, the inverted pentagram, and provided pictures. Because the judges were not allowing me to present my evidence with an evidentiary hearing. And so I needed to get evidence snuck in somehow. They were denying me my right to petition for a redress of grievances. But I got it in, and that day when the defense counsel would have counseled their clients, Holland, after having his interview discussion with the rabbi from Israel that morning, had to go to the hospital because of something he had heard that caused him great distress of the heart. And so, yeah, if you're unaware from not watching my other videos, remember Nelson came out and revised his revision of the law of chastity? Why would he do that? Why is he so mad? Isn't he a prophet of God? Didn't it come straight from Jesus? Why would he need to change it? Well, there's this guy named Travis whose #1 video, still my #1 video. Yes, I'm the one who presented it in court. That the church is planning to return to polygamy and the bondage of the saints. Gotcha. Those to whom you are legally and lawfully wedded according to his law. What's his law? Those? Could it be 10 virgins? Why, yes. Yes, it could. So yes, I am a big thorn in the side of the church because they made me their enemy. If they had just left me alone, I would not know what I know now. Oops! The biggest blunder of evil is that they're evil. So, alright. I'm getting old, I'm getting pains where I've never had pain before. So, alrighty. lots that I've talked about. Today, the Egyptian Apophis, the serpent, asteroid, yeah, it's passing by Earth today. Iceland's about to blow. So I've already warned Frederick, and Frederick acknowledged. So hope you're safe. Because the last one that occurred really caused havoc. Did I catch it? Oh, yeah. 97 views on the first day for the abolished Book of Mormon. And thus, for Thursday morning, since Thursday, we've gotten 350. Yeah, 350 additional on the second day. Wow. And so, top video for the 7-day period, obviously. Oh yeah, you guys, you're not watching the whole video. I put pictures at the end of the Abolished Book of Mormon video. You're not seeing the pictures. Guys, pay attention. Let's see. Spread it to others. Okay, that was the... I could refer to... I put in here for David's comment, the iRobot with Will Smith, to try to help. It was going to be my object lesson for the video. But in Will Smith's iRobot, a computer programmer programs the robots to serve mankind. And they are programmed not to harm man. But apparently there was a glitch in the system which caused the robots to think that they were serving and protecting mankind by putting them in bondage. And the robots were quoting their programming in their speech. That's what Mormons are doing. They're quoting the programming of the brainwashing. That's how you know when somebody's brainwashed. When they have to quote somebody. When you quote Hannity. When you quote Janine Shapiro. When you quote Tucker. When you quote Trump. When you quote any talking point. Even if it's on the left. If you quote somebody from MSNBC or other left-wing media, you are brainwashed. You are not thinking for yourself. You are not able to identify what is true from what is false. Now, if you say, according to Tucker Carlson, such and such happened, then yeah, okay. We now know you're getting your information from Tucker, so that we can then say, Tucker is a liar face. Stop watching his show. I had to keep telling my neighbors, back when they still wanted to hang out with me, that they needed to stop watching Fox News, because I could hear Fox News talking points in their speech. They were brainwashed by Fox. And even though I warned them, stop watching Fox. They're lying to you. I even talked about the Syria situation to a guy who was watching Fox. I never knew that that was going on. Really? And then, of course, we then get the do us a favor, though, from Trump, and thus he got impeached for the first time. You know, the guy was completely clueless because he was watching Fox. He was not searching for the truth, like I was. So, yeah. So, pay attention. The Book of Mormon's coded. And like I mentioned, if they know, pay attention to how they talk about the Book of Mormon. They now know the Book of Mormon's code. They now know it refers to the second coming, which is actually the first. the restoring. And so if they continue to spread the lie, wow. If they don't talk about it at all, wow. If they come right out and do what Nelson has been doing, oh yeah, we're getting rid of the Book of Mormon. It's got too much racism in there, or sexism, and bigotry, so we've decided as the prophets that the church is just going to rely on us to lead the church in this new hinge-pointing direction. Now, we won't do it that way, but last year, before conference, I was talking to the woman formerly called my second ex, thanks to the family proclamation, that I used a hypothetical example. What if Nelson comes out in conference and presents Lucifer to the audience, to all Mormonism, or an idol of Lucifer? Would you stay with the church? No, that would never happen. No, Nelson is a true prophet of God. He listens to Jesus. Don't you love Jesus? Go to church. Then in April conference 2020, oh, we've got a new logo. Oh my God, I was just joking as a hypothetical. The church, it's the cornerstone. What? Jesus is the cornerstone. And on top, built on top of the cornerstone, is the Christus, the idol Jesus, nonetheless. And then he's coming out of the tomb. Wait a minute. Mormons don't focus on his resurrection. We focus on his ascension. The Egyptians already have that symbol. What is Nelson doing? He can't figure out how to translate Hebrew. And now he's creating an idol god. So both the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and Trump have created idol gods for their followers to worship. Oh my God. Did you not see the CPAC thing? The golden image of Trump. Have you not read your book of Revelation? Chapter 13 specifically. Even Daniel warns of this. Oh my God. So, yep, people are waking up now. So you slept in like I did today. Of course, I woke up in the middle of the night. Alrighty. We're over an hour. I'm sure nobody's listening at this point.